we looked at the idea of the residual a little bit earlier when we were defining what that least squares regression line is. And now we're going to take some time to come back and revisit this idea of residuals. So a residual is the difference between an observed value of the response variable and the value predicted by the regression line. So the observed value is that data point that created the dot on the scatter plot. And the predicted value is the one we get when we plug our x value into the equation. So it's a point that's going to sit exactly on the line. A residual is also the error that remains when you use a regression line. And so you can see that error. It's that straight line from each dot, either up or down to the regression line. And the formula for that is residual is the observed value minus the predicted value. So I just think of that as alphabetical, like OP. So observed comes first and then minus the predicted. There is a residual for every data point. That residual could be 0 if the dot sits right on the line, but there is a residual that you can calculate for every data point. And if you find the average of those residuals, if you did all the residuals for your data set, that average should come out to 0 or very, very close to 0 with some round off error. All right, so we're going to give this a try. We're revisiting this example with the airplanes. We're going to find the residual for the following cities, and I'm going to walk you through the first one. So this first one, we're looking at Atlanta. It's 576 miles away, and the airfare was $178. So we can see here that the spot that's circled is the 178 airfare, and that's going to be our observed value of 178. And then my predicted value is where this star is at, sitting on the line. And so I would need to plug in that 576 miles into the equation to get that. So if I plug that in, it tells me that the predicted value for this flight should be about $150.66. And now to get the residual, we'll do observed minus predicted. And notice that this dot is above the line, that the observed dot is above the line. So our residual is going to be positive here. So I get 178 minus 150, and so my residual is $27.34. All right, the next one is St. Louis, so 737 miles and an airfare of $98, and that is indicated with another circle and star on the graph. This one I would love for you to go ahead and pause the video now that you've seen this done once and give this one a try. All right, so our observed value is the price where this dot is at, so that's the $98. To get the predicted value, I need to plug in that 737 miles for X. When I do that, I get a price of $169. And when I look at this, before I subtract it, just kind of a gut check, the data point that is actually from an airline company, that $98 deal, is sitting below our regression line. So if I'm doing observed minus predicted and my predicted is bigger, that means my residual is going to be negative. Okay, so if your data value is above the line, you'll get a positive residual. If it's below the line, you're going to get a negative residual. So I'll do 98 minus the 169, and that gives me negative 71.5 as the residual.